Myth number one, you can only get Lyme disease if you see a bullseye rash. Unfortunately, that's just not true. About 20 to 30% of people that get Lyme disease don't have a bullseye rash. For the people that never get a rash, they find it very difficult to get a diagnosis even if they're experiencing the symptoms from Lyme disease. So if that's you, you've got to find a way to do some advanced testing. We have other videos on this channel that can help you with that. But we also have freelymetest.com where we ask you a series of questions that can help you determine whether or not you're dealing with Lyme disease. Personally, I did have the EM rash during my Lyme disease battle back in 2016. I was able to heal naturally, and then I turned around and created programs and herbs and things that can help people that have Lyme disease. So if you have Lyme disease, I took everything that I used to heal naturally, and now I'm just giving it back to you. So go to LymeWars.com to check it out now. Myth number two, Lyme disease is easy to diagnose. Yeah, okay, well, we kind of already just touched on that, but Lyme disease is very tricky and difficult to diagnose. Testing is not sensitive enough, which we'll talk about later, but other than that, Lyme disease also mimics other illnesses and other symptoms that make it very hard to distinguish whether you have Lyme disease or if you're dealing with something else. For example, chronic fatigue syndrome, fibromyalgia, and MS all have symptoms that overlap with that of Lyme. And part of the reason for that is because Lyme disease is really not about a germ that is causing problems. Now, stick with me. You may know that there's a Lyme disease microbe and it may cause problems, but Lyme disease tends to be your body's reaction to that microbe rather than the microbe itself causing every single problem you face. Therefore, it's your immune system dysfunction and your body's inability to detox out toxins and have a healthy immune system response to Lyme disease that causes the real problems. And that's why there's so much misdiagnosis and confusion in the Lyme disease community. Myth number three is a negative test means you don't have Lyme disease. We kind of just touched on that, but the ELISA test is unfortunately not very sensitive. It's not very high quality, and it leads to a lot of false negatives. So if you took the ELISA test and got a false negative and you think you don't have Lyme disease, try taking some other more advanced tests with PCR testing, the Western blot test. There's two labs that I always talk about, which are IGeneX and Armin labs. Go check those labs out. They can help you get a Lyme disease diagnosis or figure out what exactly you're dealing with. Some people just need advanced testing to know what diagnosis they should be focusing on. Unfortunately, the testing gets really expensive. That's why we created freelymetest.com, where it's completely free. We ask you a series of questions and it helps you determine if you have Lyme disease or if you're dealing with something else. So go check it out. Number four, Lyme disease is cured simply with a course of antibiotics. Now, if you've watched this channel for any period of time, you know that that's completely untrue. People have symptoms beyond the antibiotic course all the time. I receive story after story after story of people getting antibiotic treatment and then still having symptoms later on. It's known as chronic Lyme disease, or PTLDS, which stands for post-treatment Lyme disease syndrome, and it's very common. For a number of reasons that I'm not going to cover in this video, antibiotics are simply not the best course of action when it comes to Lyme disease and co-infections. But when people take antibiotics, they think they're getting better, they start to get better, but then the microbes roll back out to full form and cause damage again, which leads you back into more and more symptoms. Simply put, Lyme disease is not cured with a short course of antibiotics. Myth number five, Lyme disease is only found in the northeast of the United States. That is false. Unfortunately, Lyme disease has been found in all 50 states and many other countries as well, including Ireland, England, Germany, Australia. It's very widespread, it's international, and it's in every single of the 50 states of the United States of America. Now, Lyme disease is usually spread by ticks, which can be found in forests, grasslands, but they can even be found in urban parks. So if you're in a park in the middle of a city, you can still get ticks there as well. And that is the main thing that spreads Lyme disease, but we're going to talk about that in a minute as well. Because myth number six is you can only get Lyme from ticks. Now, this gets debated all the time by scientists and doctors, but the truth is they found Lyme disease bacteria in reptiles and birds and all sorts of different insects. The question is whether or not other biting insects can spread Lyme disease bacteria to us humans or not. Common sense says that yes, other biting insects could spread this bacteria as well. Not only that, but there's a lot of evidence that shows that Lyme disease can be spread from mother to baby, so in utero, but it can also be spread from person to person via sexual intercourse. Again, this topic is widely debated, but it makes common sense knowing that the Borrelia burgdorferi bacteria does often hang out in the bladder. It can easily get out into other systems via sexual intercourse. So be careful. If you have a partner, the best course of action, in my opinion, is to use the herbs in the LymeWars herb box together so that you can fight back against Lyme disease together, stay on the path together, and heal together, and not just continue the infection going via sexual intercourse for long periods of time. Myth number 7 is ticks must be attached for 24 to 48 hours in order to get Lyme disease. That is false. The longer attachment will increase the risk of Lyme disease, of course, because it just gives more time for the bacteria to set in, get comfortable, bring in all their bags, bring their family along, and start making kids in your brand new house, right? But honestly, studies show that transmission of Lyme disease and co-infection bacteria happens almost immediately, and it can definitely happen in under 24 hours. When a tick bites you, a cocktail of bacteria is basically injected into your body, but not before they test the body that they're going into, which is fascinating. They're able to change their DNA and change their makeup to allow for the longest and greatest chance of survival. And that's the type of microbe we're dealing with when it comes to Lyme disease and co-infections. Myth number 8, if you've had Lyme disease once, you can't get it again. That is completely false, and the reason is very interesting. A lot of Lyme disease is your body's response to the bacteria itself rather than the bacteria causing symptoms directly. So when you get exposed to Lyme disease bacteria, you do not build immunity to Lyme disease where if it comes again, it will be a easy battle, right? Instead, what happens is our body overreacts to the Lyme disease bacteria, fails at finding them and eliminating them, and then has a tricky time getting better. Then when we do get better, it could simply go through that same process again if the bacteria is introduced to your body again. This is because it's mainly your body's reaction to the microbes, your immune system dysfunction, and what the microbes tend to do. They kind of hijack our immune system, for lack of a better term, and all they're trying to do is survive for as long as possible. All that being said, you can get Lyme multiple times in a row. If you get bitten by a tick, go through the process, get better from Lyme disease, and then get bitten by a tick again, you can get Lyme disease again, depending on how your body reacts. But if you work with us, we'll help you transform your immune system and bring back your gut health and restore your immune system function so that no matter what happens, if you get sick again, if something happens again, your body will be able to handle the challenges it's up against. That's the beauty of using natural approaches, herbs, holistic wellness, hydration, sleep, everything you can do in your power to live a healthy lifestyle and grow as an individual. That is the best way to get through Lyme disease, because if it comes back again, your body will be able to handle it, not because it's seen it before, but because you are geared up to be a healthy individual. Myth number 9, Lyme disease only affects the joints. No, my friend, that is not true. It affects every single system in the body. It can even affect your nervous system, which would be things like nerve pain and brain fog and anxiety. It can affect the heart, which is exactly what it did to me. It can give you Lyme carditis. For me, my heart rate was dropping. I was fainting. I had to go to the hospital. I couldn't drive my car because it was too scary. I thought I might faint and crash. But the bacterial load from Lyme disease and co-infections can affect every system in the body, including digestion and hormones and brain health and heart health and liver health and everything in between. No, Lyme disease doesn't only affect your joints. And finally, myth number 10 is chronic Lyme disease isn't real. Okay, some doctors will have you believe this and they will dismiss chronic Lyme disease, but thousands of patients every single year suffer from lingering symptoms that go beyond the use of antibiotics, beyond the use of herbs, beyond the use of different therapies like SOT therapy, and people are struggling to get better. How could it be that chronic Lyme is not real if the proof is in the pudding, right? You can see that there's people suffering beyond treatment with Lyme disease. And to be ignored or to be told they are wrong is a complete misjustice. It's a complete misuse of medical time and energy. In my opinion, it's frankly malpractice to turn patients away when they're continuing to have symptoms after treatment. Borrelia and co-infection bacteria can persist in tissues, they can evade the immune system, and they can stay alive for a long time inside of the human body. Naturally, this can lead to long-term illness. So yes, chronic Lyme disease is real. Stop saying it isn't. If you, your loved one, or your pets are dealing with Lyme disease, you want to use an herbal protocol. Trust me, this is exactly what I did, and I was able to take back my body within a year's time. And I used 3 simple herbs: andrographis, Japanese knotweed, and cat's claw. Now, these 3 herbs are hard to find. They're difficult to find high quality sources of, and they're hard to know whether or not you're taking the right amount, where they came from, how high quality they are. So we went out to solve all those problems, and now you can get that same herbal protocol sent directly to your door for less than a cup of coffee per day. So go check out LymeWars.com and get started on the herbal protocol that changed my life and now has helped hundreds of other people take back their body and feel like themselves again. You are next, my friend. Let's go.